You read the title, you know the drill. Toxic bullying in the form of memes. GitHub has amazing software, but today we're talking about the people behind the software, and where better to start than the noob. No repos, no code committed. Why? Because they can't tell the difference between Git, GitHub, and Git Bash. This is what happens when you confuse programming with watching Udemy tutorials. What do you mean developer environment, bro? I just code on free code camp. I need GitHub so I can do open source. You either die a noob or live long enough to become the junior dev. Life story in the README. Contribution graph, updating README. Repos consist of projects from YouTube that don't actually work or have finished courses. The lo-fi is on, the soy latte is made, the motivational Reddit post is written, leak code is grinded, another job rejection email received. The young junior dev eventually evolves into the JavaScript enjoyer. The JavaScript enjoyer has an evolving GitHub account. In 2012, it was Ember.js. In 2016, it was Vue. In 2018, it was React. But now we're reinventing runtimes. Put on the floral shirt, whip out the MacBook, post the Twitter hot take. You can now use the T3 stack. T3 actually stands for Twitter ragebait, Twitch streaming, and thumbnail farming. Yes, bro, I know. TypeScript is a linter, not a language. These are the guys that say Vim is inefficient, but then proceed to push their 2GB VS Code config. The same way Naruto has Sasuke, India has Pakistan, Joe Rogan has basic facts. The enemy of the JavaScript enjoyer is the backend elitist. CSS, is that a performance test? What do you mean single-threaded? What do you mean dynamic typing? Hey girl, I'd like you to balance my load. The backend elitist has a contribution graph greener than a hydroponics lab. Despite the sweet Fang job, their setup looks like this. Uses GitHub as their primary cloud storage, and when the repos aren't private, it's another performance test. Whether they're riding an O-camel, edging to Zig, the backend elitist is roommates with the Vimmer. Move out of the way, alt-right pipeline. We gotta study the Vimscript Lua split keyboard mustache pipeline. The Vimmer lives in a paradox, where their only GitHub contributions is their own config, a NeoVim plugin, or the occasional 3D game engine written entirely in Rust. Super basic stuff. The Linux Maxer. Deploy Gentoo on a Friday, NixOS for the Saturday. Don't you dare touch his .files. Random repos in C. And if they're doing web dev, it's HTML only. Waifu body pillow in the Zoom call. Suck less software. Actually, what am I saying? They're not even on GitHub. They're actually self-hosted, living in a farm somewhere in Ohio. The Chad. It's always a random engineer or college kid, somewhere in India, Ohio, or Brazil. Wait, did someone say... This guy has no time for a README. He's too busy actually writing code. He's either contributing and maintaining core libraries, and the rest of his repos are just finished courses you've been meaning to do. You order coffee from a cafe, he orders coffee straight from the terminal. This is the guy your girlfriend told you not to worry about. He's also from Brazil, by the way. Open source maintainers. Cricket has Tendulkar. The UFC has Khabib. Football has Ronaldo Nazario. And for software engineering, we have open source maintainers. The goats of our field. My favorite open source contributor this year has been Gia10. For his awesome contributions, look up Gia10XZ. GitHub has all kinds of people, from noobs to students to influencers. Just kidding, influencers don't actually code. To my favorite GitHub users, people that use the sponsor of today's video, BootDodev. Yes, they also happen to sponsor Mr. Handsome Mustache Vimmer. BootDodev is an incredible platform. I wish they were around in 2018 when I was learning. They have a core focus in backend development with Python and Go, which is a fantastic way to get comfortable with programming at a logical and professional level. BootDodev has done an amazing job of gamifying the process of learning to code, which you may know I'm a huge fan of. It's entirely self-paced with the feeling of an RPG. When I log onto boot.dev and see my XP, levels, achievements, I feel like I'm loading up a game rather than a course on Go. And the best part of all, they fully acknowledge the spiral of tutorial hell, so they get you shipping so much code. And if you ever get stuck or have questions, they have a thriving Discord community. Oh, and by the way, their learning material is entirely free. The membership unlocks the gamification and interactivity features. Speaking of memberships, click the link in the description box and use my code BIGBOXSWE to get 25% off your first payment for boot.dev. That's 25% off the first month or your first year, depending on the subscription you choose. Thank you so much to Lane and boot.dev for sponsoring this video, and thank you for your time. I am Big Box.